good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are, whenever you happen to be listening. I am thrilled to welcome to the show my friend and fellow professional in the insurance industry, Billie Jo Galle. So Billie and I worked together for a few years in my former career on the agency side. She is the Vice President of Marketing and Business Development at TRICOR Insurance. And I was lucky enough to get a few years working alongside her, getting to learn from her. We shared a lot of time and a lot of life together in those couple of years. I feel like I've known you for so long, but it really has only been a few years. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here. How are you?
Yeah, thank you for having me. Good, good. I'm glad it's summer. It's my favorite time of year. We can get outside. Sports are starting back up again, so I get to watch my kids in sporting events. So it's been an interesting year, but a learning year, I think is what we can call it.
Yes, we have learned so much about ourselves, our businesses, our families, all sorts of things that we probably were never going to understand under any other circumstances.
Right. Right.
Yes. So how is the family doing? I know this has been a shock for almost every family, but how have you guys been doing?
We've been good. So the kids are spending a lot of time at home. We're spending a lot of togetherness, but we're making it through. I have a senior this year that graduated. I had a freshman son that's 15, and then I have a 7th grader daughter, and it's been a lot of money spent on groceries is really what it comes down to. My son is in full eat mode, full grow mode, and he weighs nothing, but a small lunch for him is about 6 grilled cheeses a day. So it's been a lot of grocery buying, which, I've been doing the pickup, and then there's things not available. So it's all been this really interesting learning process of how to live the COVID life, but still feed your kids. So,
yeah. So we experienced a similar thing. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I am spending that much more money. I mean, granted, I wasn't having to buy gas anymore, but like
right.
groceries and then like the electricity never shutting off. I was like, whoa.
Right.
But yeah, I have a 13-year-old who is, he's a bigger kid, but yeah, he eats nonstop. Is your son like into nocturnal eating?
So my son's interesting that he is a huge morning person. He is up at 5:30 every morning and typically sleeping by 9 or 10. Like he super early bird, always has been that way since he was little. So his is just eating constantly throughout the day. Like I literally had to ask him if they gave him 17 snacks at school during the day, because that's what he's doing at home. And as the expense of groceries was coming in, I'm like, you get 3 snacks a day. We have 17 snacks is done. So, but he just eats a lot at sitting. So it's just interesting. One of our neighbors, funny story, did like a Walmart pickup and they got a whole bunch of cottage cheese. They ordered like 1 and they got like 6. So their daughter came over and was like, we think Jaden can take care of this extra stuff we got. So we're eating all this extra cottage cheese. I'm like, yeah, he'll eat it. It'll be gone.
He is a human garbage disposal. He'll take anything.
Yep, literally.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So they're getting back into the swing of sports. I'm sure they're excited and you're ready to have them burn off some energy.
Yes, that's my 2 older ones they got jobs outside the house, which is great, and have started those. And then my daughter, on Monday, we're actually doing our virtual UW lacrosse starter kit. So it's an all-day virtual event for freshmen coming in, and So that'll be interesting to start that path. They've already been told that they'll have what they're calling a blended, which means some classes in person and some online. So it'll be interesting for her, but she's excited. She's ready to move on. But yeah, lots of chores were done at home. So they were doing those, but to get them outside of the home for a little bit has been also great.
Yes. Yeah. So will she be in a dorm, or is it like?
We're still waiting on that. We've heard that they might get their own dorm rooms.
Oh.
As I don't know, but I don't know how that will work. But we're waiting to hear. We have told her though that if the dorms aren't there, we will look for an apartment because it's time for her. It's time for her. Everybody's to go. Yeah. Yep. So it'll be interesting. She's excited. She took the whole end of year thing really well, which I've always tried to teach my kids resiliency. This isn't a poor me. This is, well, we change, we adjust, we can be sad about it, but let's move on. And she did a really good job. Her school ended up doing like a fun parade, which actually ended up being probably more fun than sitting in a hot gym all together.
This is true. I could see how that would be. At least you're doing something.
Right. Yeah. So all the kids got some fun cars. We took our Jeep, we had the top off, and she kind of stood and waved in that. So it was a good community event. A lot of the community came out and watched all the kids in the parade. So it was kind of fun.
Yeah. I do love seeing how people just rose to the challenge. Like, you can let this stuff really get you down. And I think we've all had our moments where we're like, I'm tired of this. I hate this.
Yeah.
But it certainly has led us to be a lot more innovative than we were being called to in, pre-COVID life. So yeah. And I think in all honesty, like, I feel like as much as I want to be around people, because I really do, I have had more conversations with people now in the last couple of months because we were just kind of forced to.
Right.
So you probably have learned a lot about your kids. I found that I learned a lot about mine. I'm like, some good.
Yep. They know how to get on each other's nerves, but I think it was a really great time. They will probably never get that again. Right. I was thinking of that with my oldest. River's going to college. In 2 years, Jaden will be off. They will most likely, as siblings, never get that again, where they're stuck in the house with each other for 8 weeks and really just, they played games, board games, card games. My youngest was doing paint by numbers. I mean, just things that you wouldn't have done because of the fastness of life happening, and you got to be here, and it's this sport and that sport and this practice and going. And so I think the slowdown really will make an impact on them. Like, you can just sit and be silent.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of silence going on in the house, but we tried.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just thankful when it got warm enough that my kids could like go outside.
Yeah.
Cabin fever with a 7-year-old and a 10-year-old is rough. Like a 13-year-old can survive forever in a dark room, I feel like.
Right. Right. Yes. They don't come out of the cave, we call it.
Yeah.
Much.
Oh my gosh. So how long do you think we stay in this semi-virtual world?
I think there's a lot of positives to it, especially in the industry we work in. Even our personal lines department, we got so used to just email and phone. Like, this is a whole nother option of us actually having human interaction in a different way. So I think there's a lot of positives of what we learned from it, but I don't know that things will ever really go back to the way they were. They'll be more conscious of cleaning, even for flu season. We probably were too lax on that, of cleaning, and what if you're sick, like,
Stay home.
don't come
Yeah.
in, just having more of that awareness where they can, if you're feeling like you have a temperature, like you're not sure what's going on, and you have the ability to work at home, work at home. Keep the
Yeah.
sickness to yourself, no matter what it is. That I think will transform a lot of businesses thinking on that, and use it to its advantage. So if you have to get something done, but you're not feeling the greatest, and you're able to get it done at home and then take breaks and do it, get back on past 5 o'clock. It's just like your day isn't in these two start here, end here. It's kind of more fluid. And I think there's a lot of advantages of that.
Well, and I think about the fact that like there's always been this big conversation about work-life balance, right? And how do you achieve it? I don't necessarily believe that balance is the right word. I think that almost is like there's two, sides of the scale. It's more of like
Right.
making sure that everything is in harmony. And I think the fluidity that you bring up, like just knowing that we've provided more flexibility in our lives so that everything can start to just kind of work together a lot more efficiently than it did before. I think that if there was hesitation to put technology into employees' hands that makes them more mobile, this was the call to action. Like, you do it or you're not going to survive as a business,
Right.
once this is all said and done. And so I think it was, in some ways, it was a necessary push in a lot of different ways. And I mean, I don't mean to like overly Pollyanna the whole thing, but I think there are a lot of positives that come out of something like this, just completely disrupting our lives and making us rethink everything. Like, I can't think of any part of my life that is the same. I just can't.
No. Except the cleaning your house. I mean, I did that before. It was just more frequent than it was afterwards, but that's more of the same stuff, just cleaning the same thing over and over and over. So, but as far as like, it's really going to become a work from anywhere world.
Mm-hmm.
And it already is that, but our mind is still set in this,
traditional,
not 8 to 5, whatever you work, but we really, all of us, I mean, have you picked up your cell phone at 9 o'clock at night and you see an email and you make a choice of, do I answer now? Is it important, or can it wait? And a lot of times, if it's really important and it's something we need to get done, we're answering those, and we're fluid in that way, that there isn't an 8 to 5 job, but it's finding the harmony. It's knowing, okay, I've not got up from my chair. Some days I was like, I really haven't moved from my chair. I don't think I've even went to the restroom today. So it's that consciousness of you do need breaks.
Yeah.
You need your mind to be able to think just needs breaks. But there's a lot of greatness that comes with that flexibility of, because I've been sort of coming in a few days, working from home, just that monotonous that just is taken out of it, that you're able to make a choice of what's working for you, that I think is a good thing. And I think we'll learn a lot from it. And I think it'll help with creativity and innovation. And when I really need to get something done, I might work at home that day because I need less distractions, or I need to come in and this meeting needs to happen with us all sitting in a room because we need minds to share, or it's just more fluid and more acceptable to be fluid.
Yeah. So. And I think that it calls us to be more effective communicators. Like,
it does.
You're not going to necessarily have that same back and forth that you would have in the past. Like, it looks different. And so becoming better in the way that we either send an email or, if making that call as to whether should this be a phone call or an email or a Zoom or whatever, like utilizing all of the different mediums that we have
Yeah.
in order to make sure that we're transmitting the message the most effectively. Like, I think we've really had to rethink that whole process now.
Yeah, I think we've relied on email, and email is great for some things, but it lacks context in some situations. And there's some things that you just can't explain without looking at each other, but also looking at a screen and sharing and showing each other as you're working through things. So I think less reliance on email and really being a conscious thinker around what message am I trying to get across and what is the right channel or avenue that I should be telling somebody that. And I think we just defaulted to email before, where this is really a phone call message versus an email or a meeting or a Zoom or whatever the choice is, and just being more conscious around what we need to tell somebody and what avenue it should go down.
Yeah, for sure. So I want to just like pivot the conversation just a little bit. I want to talk about your career. So you're working in a marketing capacity at an agency, which is amazing. And I just want to talk about your journey to TRICOR and, what it is that you do every day, what you love about it.
Sure. So I think each role that I've had in inside and outside the insurance industry has really helped me get to where I'm more of what you would call a data marketer. That's a strength that I have of mine. And what I mean by that is, I put myself through college, which meant I had to work. So I worked at Land's End during that time in their marketing research department. And that taught me a lot about customer experience and learning about research studies around retail, and learning that sometimes what a customer tells you they want isn't what they want, and it fails in market. And that was a really good learning around data and the consumer and building customer, they call it customer experience now, but then back then it was just customer service or quality of products. And so that was a really pivotal part of understanding marketing, and then the data around it. We would use those research studies to find target people. We would use Axiom data that said, oh, if your shopper that's buying Land's End is also buying Tide laundry detergent. So look for areas around that to advertise, or, just using all of that data to be better at marketing and not just sending a message and splashing it everywhere, where a lot of businesses just don't have the funds and the revenue to do that for the budget that it would take. I moved from Land's End to a company called Omnipress in Madison, which was a privately owned. So I've went between corporates and privately owned companies throughout my career, and they're very different. There's pros and cons to them all, but this was a family-owned company. I learned a lot of the technical side of the software that marketers use, and even just typical human beings use, the Microsoft Office, the Adobe PDF, the creative suites that had a lot of the digital. I was able to live in both a print world of marketing and then have to learn the digital side of it. So I get to balance both of that, where a lot of the kids right now coming out of college are only learning digital, but print isn't dead. It's interesting when we would stop sending out catalogs at Land's End, our online sales would go down. So they're interconnected, and understanding what you need to do in all of an omni-channel world is important. So Omnipress taught me a lot of the technical software skills. I moved to CUNA Mutual after Omnipress, in 2005 or 6, and I was there for 12 years. And I had a few different roles. I got to experience early in my career there the mobile banking transition for credit unions.
Yeah.
And I remember being at a credit union and one of the CEO, and it's a fairly big credit union, saying, people won't use this online stuff. They like coming in, talking to our tellers. They have a relationship with them. They won't want to give that up. And then really getting to watch that transition of not just mobile banking, but how they did mortgages, all of that transitioning in the data. I was on the data side of it at that point to say, we need to be able to connect, you know, the credit union's system in with the data processor and be able to connect all that data coming through. That taught me a lot about data, how to connect it, how the ATM got connected to the web, so that it showed in your mobile banking. We got to see all that back end stuff, but also watch the human go through that process of, what do you mean they won't come inside the lobby anymore? Well, not as much. You know, they're going to do their simple things they want from their own home. And just watching that taught me a lot about how change is so hard because it's a mindset thing. You have to know what your customer wants before your customer knows what they want.
Yeah.
And it taught me a lot about that. And I moved from that role to working more in their customer-facing brand, which was eventually branded TrueStage. So working in their creative and branding. That role taught me a lot about data analytics and business analytics. So we did predictive analytics. We looked at campaigns, what words drove more leads in a creative than a different. It taught me a lot about how confusing insurance is to people. Because CUNA had an underwriting company, which was CMFG Life, and then this agency was TrueStage that sold it. And trying to explain that to people, they were like, I'm just getting this through my credit union. What are you talking about? But you had to follow all the rules and regulations. And we're so used to Amazon, where Amazon is the brand.
Yep.
Right? You hardly even recognize that underneath that layer of Amazon, there's businesses of all sizes and types actually fulfilling a lot of those orders. That the way the insurance industry is set up is confusing now. It's confusing of, well, I can get it online and I can get it from an agent. What's the difference?
Yeah.
Is there a price difference? They don't understand at that point. So that role was really interesting of breaking down that the whole process of a home insurance in a transparent enough way that you could actually make sales online. Because if they don't understand it, they're going to call, they're going to walk in. But if they understand it, they'll be more typically, we sold life insurance and AD&D through a lot of those online sales. It was certainly a specific consumer set that would come in. So I learned a lot about just different personas of people willing to buy online, willing to only buy from a person they actually know. So that was a really good learning experience in that role. And then, I was there for 12 years. I won a VIP award, which means you were nominated by your colleagues out of, at that point, CUNA had probably 3,000 employees, and typically like 50 to 100 win this VIP award. And I just thought, now what? Now I won this award. I like what I'm doing, but I want to challenge myself. And I want to, in a corporation, there's a lot of restructuring. There's a lot of manager changes. I was there for 12 years. I think I probably had 10 different managers in that time. So I wanted to take a step back and think, well, how can I take everything I've learned and be more useful in it and challenge myself? And typically when you're in a corporation, as you kind of grow up that ladder, you get more focused in on a smaller set of things, where I wanted to make sure I like my hands in a lot of different things. I like to have variety of things. So I really made a decision to look to work for a privately owned company again, but also a leadership style. I was looking for a specific leadership style of a company and a culture, and I honestly turned down quite a few jobs that just didn't fit what I was looking for. So, TRICOR came in, I interviewed with Dave, which is our CEO, and just very community focused. He had empathy for his employees, his customers. He wants people to learn and innovate and challenge themselves. And it really fit what I was looking for, along with keeping the marketing and the branding and the customer experience, and then other duties as assigned as they come in with any role that you get. So it's just a good fit for me right now. So
yeah. So, and I didn't know all of that backstory. That's amazing. I mean, and to keep building on that knowledge, I just had this conversation with somebody yesterday. We were talking about how every experience is like it's building, and eventually it's like all of it makes sense. You find that role where you feel like you're going to pull it all together and really start really utilizing your favorite parts of what you've learned up until joining TRICOR. So like when it comes to everything that we've been experiencing right now with the pandemic, has there been, you feel like, the need to just kind of adjust the marketing strategy? Like how do agencies respond to something like this? Because the world looks a little different. I think it's going to look a little different for a while. So I don't know that what we were used to as traditional methods really continues to work.
Right. It's there's adjustments we had to make. So TRICOR is a little unique for a marketer's point of view, that there's a very large geographical footprint. Mm-hmm. And each of our locations, there's a little bit different of a community culture.
Yep.
Some are extremely urban locations and some are very rural, and you're going to have the differences in that. And with the budget that we're working with on marketing, to really promote all of our locations as a whole, our best return on investment is the digital marketing and social. So we were in on that. One of the things that I had to rethink is we had a plan to do some geofencing around events that we sponsor. So get a second bang for our buck of, we're sponsoring a local community event. We can geofence around it the day of the event, and then people are served ads on their mobile phone. And well, all the events stopped.
Yeah.
So we changed that to be more of, okay, people are spending time at home. Let's geofence certain areas of our locations and continue go after that. Put the money we were going to do in events back into location-based geofencing, and people were spending a lot more time online for when it was still cold out, right?
Yeah.
And so I think we got lucky in that realm that we weren't having a billboard strategy where people stopped driving.
Yeah.
Literally, the road was eerily empty for very many days, that it was like zombie apocalypse is happening and what's going on. And so I think we got lucky that that's the digital side of what we were doing. It fit a pandemic.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, it's important to be able to evaluate that stuff midterm. Like you're going to have to stop and take a look at it. And certainly there there was good reason to reevaluate everything and just make sure that you're reaching your audience.
Yes. Yeah. I think it's whether there's a pandemic or not, consumers change quickly. You know, they, as much as they hang on to something for a long time, they change quickly. And it's a really noisy world out there in any medium. If you open a newspaper, it's busy. If you open a website, it's busy. Billboards, well, most people are on their phones, even the driver to some extent. There's just a lot going on that breaking through in that noise is tough no matter which channel you choose to advertise in. But there's definitely things that show better results. You know, we get better results off of our video pre-roll than we do off of photos on Facebook. So there's definitely trends. They'll probably be short term and then be done. You know, Facebook probably won't last forever, right? It's just the channel that's working right now for us in video. And even that's getting noisy. They have a lot of ads running on that people are starting to turn away from because it gets too full of ads. So it's a constant look, constant battle, constant changing. Where are we seeing better results and less results, and changing our dollars allocated in our marketing budget from one location to another, to shifting that around. So we really look at quarterly results and really make changes off of that. I work with a digital marketing agency that does all the technical setup of everything, and then we work together. That is, we're not seeing results in a far northern location, for example, so we might have to try something different in that one than what we're doing, and we'll shift dollars to a different channel that we might use there. So
yeah, it certainly keeps everything very active and very interesting. You know, and there's a lot of what was I gonna say? Oh my gosh, like, you're just gonna try it, and if it doesn't work, you gotta be willing to just like quickly adapt.
Yeah, it's a fail fast, fail forward rule. I mean, there is not a book that says if you market in this way, your brand will build. It is a trial and error, a fail fast, a fail forward, always trying different things. And something works for a while, and then it doesn't work anymore, and you got to adjust. So it's not you can sit and watch. You got to constantly plan. The data is the big thing. It's not, your customers are in charge. If you're doing something and the data is showing you it's not working, even though you like it, like, oh, I thought that video was great, what are they thinking? They're in charge. The same thing with your customer service. If you're not doing renewals in the way that they find valuable, but you like to do it because you always did it that way, sooner or later you're going to lose. Your customer's in charge. Yeah, we're not in charge of that. So it's a constant change, but I like it. It keeps the brain moving. I lose all the time, which is always a goal that I have. Is I just want to keep learning. Yeah, and it really allows for that.
Yeah, and I think there has to be that willingness to change, and you can't get like married to any one idea. Like, it's just going to keep, changing on you. And so I think there is that changing consumer expectation mixed with that creature of habit, and then blending all of that stuff together is like, that's when the magic happens. That's when you really start to make impact in the market in the way that you want to. So yeah, I've learned so much from you. I hope that you know that, like, every conversation that we have ever had in the years that we've known each other, I've always learned something from you, because I mean, you do really dig into everything and like try and expose all of the secrets that are underneath, right? So that you can really understand how everything's really working together. And
Yep.
I appreciate that about you.
Yeah, it's we are in such a personalized world, even though we're all privacy, like I don't want Google to have my data. We all enjoy the fact that when they do have our data and they use it for good, I'm not given advertising for diapers when I don't have babies anymore. There is no need for me to have diaper advertising. That's a waste of that brand's money. And insurance needs to learn that too. There's life triggers that happen. There's all this amazing data that we have that we need to expose and use it. And because that will be an expectation of your customer.
Yeah.
And it is now. We're just not always delivering what they want.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that I hope that we have more opportunities to spend time together so that I can continue to pick your brain. You can teach me all sorts of things.
I love sharing ideas and innovation. And I think we've gotten a good cadence where you can really look at an idea and just spit things out and they don't make sense or you don't like them or whatever. And it's not a personal thing. It's like, and then be able to take something that maybe you spit out and then we merge it into this really great idea. So I think that's something that is great about working for a company like TRICOR too, is you can have ideas and just be like, I think this will work. Can we try it? So it's fun. It's not monotonous. It's not every day is a different day. And you get to learn from each other and be okay that there are things I'm not an expert in, but I'm going to dig in and we'll become experts together in it. And so that's what I love about relationships like this, is sharing ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you look back on all of these years building your career in marketing, what has been one of the biggest lessons that you've learned throughout your career?
I would have built my confidence sooner. And what I mean by that is there was many times sitting in a big room with a lot of big titles in the room when I had ideas and didn't say them. And I had to learn for myself, like, who cares if it's a dumb idea? You can have dumb ideas and learn. I'm a people pleaser. I've had to learn that I can't please everybody, but we can agree to disagree on things and move forward and have that confidence to say, I understand, marketing is hard because everybody sees marketing and they're like, well, this company's doing TV and this one's doing this. And every company has different goals, and you can't look at one company and say, well, they're doing TV because it works. There's different goals and outcomes of things that companies are looking for. So you have to be able to take a lot of criticism in this role too, that you're making decisions that people don't agree with, and they have ideas and they give them to you, and either you take them and run with them, or you say it's not going to work with the strategy that we're going after. And it's having that confidence to be okay with that. It took me a long time. I would say to my mid, till I was 34 to build that. And I don't know why, but it did. And I wish I could have done that obviously sooner. So if I had to look back, it would just be okay with saying what comes to your mind.
I think that's great advice. I think that we can easily fall into that trap. I mean, because I know that I've been there too. So who's had the biggest impact on your life?
I think I've gotten to work for a lot of amazing thinkers, leaders, I've gotten to work directly when I was at CUNA with McKinsey and Company, and they all had these special parts and pieces of building who I am today. So I don't know that, other than my family is, my dad and my aunts, my uncles. I come from a very, very big family that, if I need a plumber, I got an uncle. If I need a lawyer, I got an aunt. It's a huge family to pull from, that they have built who I am.
Yeah.
But work-wise, I would say even the leaders I didn't think were great leaders built who I am, because they helped me understand who I didn't want to be to other colleagues or other employees or anybody that I manage. So I think it's the best part of what I did is actually move around a few industries, because you got to just meet and see and be around diverse sets of people. And some of it might be that I worked in Madison, I worked in Dodgeville, which urban, rural, it was all over that. Each of those people really impacted me, but there was one boss I had at CUNA Mutual, very short period of time. He was a brilliant brand builder, and he previously had been President Reagan's speechwriter early in his career, and was actually in New York on 9/11 and decided to get out of all of the military side of his career into branding and consulting. And he just taught me a lot about empathy of people, and being able, how to communicate and try to lead people when you're trying to make a big change. He taught me a lot about that. And one of my favorite things he told me was, it was when CUNA was going through this whole, do we let people work from home, which was quite a few years ago. And he told me, I would rather pay for a warm head than a cold butt any day. So whether they work in your office or at home, you want to pay for people that are out there thinking, they're driving innovation, they're thinking of efficiencies. Just because somebody's sitting in a chair you purchased doesn't mean that they're being effective at their job right now anyways. So I always carried that with me when we went through these processes of should and when people should be able to work from home. There's a lot of factors, obviously, that go into it, especially for our industry where we still have people coming in the door.
Right.
Somebody's got to be here. But he was just a good teacher of how to treat people, even through a lot of change. So I really enjoyed working for him.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. And I think, yeah, there are so many people that are like creating who we are. Like they have these influences, and some are smaller and some are larger, but yeah, he sounds like an amazing guy and quite an amazing career.
Yeah, he very good career in marketing, branding, and he really, some people are willing to share their knowledge and spend the time with you so that you get the context of why things in marketing and branding and all of that are important. And then some people they just manage you. They don't experience the job with you, and he did a good job of that, I thought. So
yeah. So throughout all of your time, Land's End, Omni, CUNA, and now TRICOR, building into leadership positions. I know you study leadership. We've talked about leadership in our time together. How do you think we encourage more women into leadership positions to take that step, that next step, whatever it is? Because I think we work in an industry that's pretty strongly led by men, which nothing against that at all whatsoever. But how do we start encouraging more women to just kind of take that small leap of faith?
Yeah, I think to get the ball rolling, I think you have to recognize the women around you that hold the characteristics of somebody that would be a great leader, and help them build on their strengths. You know, maybe when they haven't even thought about, well, what does leadership mean? It's not a title.
Mm-hmm.
It is, you may be the lowest woman on the totem pole, and you take lead in a project of, here, I'm going to help everybody by communicating and spending the time with them to see the vision that's coming through. And it's really finding the people that show those characteristics, and maybe they're not fine-tuned, and then taking them under your wing and saying, it's okay, like, I don't know all the answers either, and we figure it out and we build each other up. And you might find that when you want to be a leader, it doesn't mean you want to manage people.
Mm-hmm.
It might mean, I like to drive projects with efficiencies that would help this company get better. That's also leadership. And helping them find their voice is really what helps in this, and making sure that they know that this is what maybe you want to look for in a role. And it may not be at, you know, your current total CSR or TRICOR. It could be a different industry. These are skills that are all transferable. Mm-hmm. And just opening people's eyes to that, and seeing that, and teaching that, and being a relatable leader to say, I don't know it all either.
Yeah.
We're learning this together, being transparent, communicating. So I think it's seeing something in somebody and saying it to them, and say, you got to see this in yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that is the first step, obviously. Getting people more involved in networking. Nobody really likes to network. It exhausts me, but
I miss networking, really.
It's so important. And put yourself out there, get on Applied Client Network, or volunteer. There's so much you learn from being even a volunteer in your community, you know. You can be on the city council or school boards. There's so much presentation and how you package your ideas that you learn in that way. That's a step too. Maybe you like your job here and you want to try that. You're not stuck in being a leader in just your job. You can be a community leader. You can be a industry leader, a leader in your job. So I think there's so many avenues of just opening everybody's eyes to it.
That's true. We do. We had to expand our thought processes around that. I never thought about that. I love it. I love it. So if you could go back in time, and I know you kind of touched on this before with, just developing confidence earlier, but like, what piece of advice would you give your younger self?
Don't be afraid to move jobs. It took me a long time at CUNA to decide, and I should have done it earlier, because early in your career, there's so much you can learn. And if you're stuck under somebody that's not a great leader, not a teacher, not a coach, not a mentor, you're not going to learn. That's valuable years in your life to learn.
Yeah.
And be okay that the world isn't you get a job and you stay there for 50 years anymore. You learn so much by moving around and challenging yourself. Be willing to challenge how smart you are, because everybody's smart. Everybody can be innovative and creative, and just challenging yourself by moving around a little bit earlier in your career to really understand what motivates you, what makes you be a better person. I would have done that probably earlier in my career if if I knew then what I know now.
Yeah. Yeah. So what does the future look like for you, Billie? What are your big plans? Any big plans?
I am going to transform the data portion of the insurance industry.
I love it. Let's do it.
So we've had hours talking about this data and how important it is to use to better the experience of our customers. My goal is to really work on that and really make our employees' jobs more effective, more efficient, but making sure that all the hands that have their hands in the pot understand that at the end of the day, the customer's in charge. If we don't deliver what they're asking for, we are all hurting from that. Making an experience, using that data, using the information that we should be able to get to today that we can't, is really my next set of goals. After that, I don't know. I don't know.
Disney World.
Yeah, right. You know, it's the world's changing. I think we're seeing a lot of just industries that aren't viable anymore, changing and becoming new industries. And I'm excited to see what new industries are going to pop up even after the pandemic, of people that were able to be creative at home because they had time on their hands and come up with that. So I don't think too far ahead of time. Right now I am, this data thing, I'm going to get to it and I'm going to figure this out, and we're going to use it in to make our clients' lives easier, make it more transparent what they're buying, and make them happier.
Yeah. No, I mean, the data conversation is so huge, right? Like it's everything. There's not a good way to run any business without knowing data. I mean, even if you just have a lemonade stand, I talk about the lemonade stand. My kids always want to have a lemonade stand. But if they don't understand the traffic, that's their data. You have to understand the traffic that's coming by. Otherwise, you may be putting up a lemonade stand for nothing.
Yeah, you might be on a dead-end road and you don't even know it.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, it is. But yeah, I will support you in your data efforts in any way that I can, because I know it's so important. And I think that if you aren't in tune with your data, then you're going to miss the mark more often than not, which costs everybody frustration,
everybody,
money,
in
energy,
the entire, ecosystem of insurance. At the end of the day, and I keep saying it, your customer's in charge. If they're not happy, everybody in that ecosystem loses.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to the data adventure. So now for my final question, the secret question. Are you ready?
Okay.
You think you're ready? It's not too tough, I promise. There's no math involved or anything like that.
Oh, good.
But if you got to play DJ for 5 minutes, what song would you choose?
So I always have this thing about life is I work hard, but I play hard. And so I would do Party in the USA by Miley Cyrus, because as much as I work hard, I like to have fun with my friends, my family, and it's just a good party song. It just gets everybody moving.
Yeah. Is this what you play in your driveway as you're sipping on a Friday afternoon?
On the way to work, I drive a rural road where literally nobody can hear me. So the windows go down and the music goes up. So I'm not a great singer, so don't think you'll ever hear me sing that. But it's just one that, if you're in a bad mood, it can just brighten your day.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Well, I am excited to see you in person again soon. Maybe I'll join you for a Friday afternoon driveway extravaganza.
I love it.
Sit in the sun and chill out for a little bit.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm so appreciative of the time that we got to work together. I've learned from you. I continue to learn from you. You're an amazing friend and just such a great supporter of the industry. And I'm so thankful that you are part of my life. So thank you for your time today,
Ditto.
for coming on the show. And yeah, I'm going to track you down soon.
That sounds amazing. I wouldn't hate it.
Okay. Perfect. Yes. Winning. Oh,
Thank you for having me on.
Yes, absolutely. We'll talk again soon.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye.